So, having closed my business down that I worked 2.5 years on, I realized that it's not so much about living a life without problems. It's more about picking the problems that you actually want to solve. And when I started that business, it was more of just I just want to make money sort of thing. And what I realized is that I had to obviously solve problems within the business. Now, the biggest issue I faced was that it wasn't really problems that I cared about. It wasn't things I really wanted to solve. I wasn't interested in lead generation in the slightest, and I didn't really like messaging loads of people on LinkedIn that I didn't really know. And so as a result, I got resentful. I just became, quite frankly, burnt out. And that was more misalignment burnout, where I'd be spending 3.5 hours every Monday to Friday messaging and responding to messages and following up people on 6 or 7 different, client accounts. And I hated it, which is obviously why I ended up closing it down. Now I'm in a position where I'm focusing on YouTube, but also mostly focusing on my game development. And these are different problems that I want to solve. Now, is it easier? It's hard to say, but what I will say is that because I align more with it, I do think it is somewhat easier. What's most important is that any, there's not a lack of problems, right? There's still problems. It's more so what problems do I want to choose to solve? And I think at the end of the day, right, we don't want to have to do lots of, I don't know, difficult things, right? Right. Ideally speaking, if we could live a life without having to deal with problems and we could just go about our day, that would be ideal. But obviously, that's not going to be the case. And especially if you're a guy, or at least in my experience, if you're a guy trying to work towards something meaningful and to build something, you are going to have to, encounter problems. But what I also want to sort of drive through this video is that you get to pick a lot of these problems. Some things, yes, will just pop up as a result. But in terms of, the sort of main sort of thing that you want to work on, perhaps for financial reasons, a lot of the time you're going to get to pick those problems. And this is why I say, or at least I've been saying for a few days, is if you don't really know what you want to do, make an ikigai. Try and figure out, what it is that you like, what it is that you're good at, what you can get paid for, what the world needs, and just try and figure out what is meaningful to you. Because I found that with game development, for example, which I use AI to assist me in terms of code and images and videos, I literally on the sprint to getting the demo out, like the 3 days beforehand, I did 9 hours, 12 hours, and then I think 8 or 9 hours just to get the demo out. And that was the 3 days beforehand. And it's like, I realized I would never spend that much time on that with my old business. I would never do that. But it was the problem that I was willing to solve and stick with to get through to the other side. So what I want you to understand in this video is that I think for me, what's been really meaningful to me is solving problems that I care about. Solving problems that I care about, and as a result, building things that I want to do. Because hey, honestly speaking, I enjoy playing video games. I know a lot of guys do as well. And that is why I thought, well, you know what? I'm good at using AI. I enjoy playing video games, so why not make one? And within just under 300 hours, I made myself a demo, which is out on Steam. And you can see my devlog channel if you want. But now I'm actually working towards the full game, which ideally I want to get out by the end of this year, so December time. Worst comes to worst, it comes out in January. But the point being is that I'm working problems that matter the most to me. So find problems that actually mean the most to you and give your energy to them. Because if something means more to you, you're going to have to, there's going to be less issue with procrastination, the feeling of not wanting to do it because it's something meaningful.